So which one should you buy? The Thermal Master P2, the upgraded P2 Pro, or the powerful long-range X3? I've tested all three and the differences aren't just on paper. Let's have a look. So in this quick comparison, I'll break down the key differences between the P2, P2 Pro, and the Thermal Master X3 cameras in terms of size, image quality, range, app features, and which one is worth your money depending on what you actually need. So let's go through firstly the resolution and sensor. So the P2 and the P2 Pro have the same sensor, so 256 by 192 pixels, and the X3 has the highest resolution, so 384 by 288 pixels. It doesn't sound like much, but it is a huge difference when you're looking through the actual phone itself and screen. So yeah, if clarity and detail matter, especially outdoors, the X3 is the one that you really want. In terms of the design and the mount, the P2 and the P2 Pro have this kind of compact style design. So it's got a USB stick there, and it does also come with this extender cord, so you can plug the camera in, and maybe if basically you don't want to move your phone around, just want to move the camera around, you can use that, get into some hard to reach places. But yeah, with the X3, it has a larger body. Now you can actually take out the X3 unit, and I would say it's roughly about like a 2.5, 3 centimeter by 3 centimeter cube, and with the lens sticking out the front. So it's still fairly portable, but yeah, normally you're going to be carrying it around with this handle. I think it's much better because you have a bit of protection if you drop it. It comes with this lens cap there on the front. It's also better for stability and when you put your phone in there. So yeah, I do recommend using it, but of course you can just take the camera, put it, connect it directly into your phone as well. But yeah, overall the P2s are ultra portable, and X3 still small, but not quite that kind of pocket and forget option, especially with the handle. Let's talk a bit about focus now. So the P2 and the P3 have fixed focus, but the P2 Pro has a macro lens here, so that allows for really close-up work, even more so than the X3 that has a manually focusable lens here. You sort of focus that on whatever you want. I think it focuses up to about 20 to 30 centimeters, according to my tests. So yeah, the macro lens, manual focus on the P2 Pro and the X3 make a huge difference for close-up work and detail. But yeah, the 15mm lens, manual focus on the X3 really elevates this into a proper long-range device. You can focus on distant objects, whereas yeah, with the normal P2 series, they're going to appear as distant sort of blobby things from 50 meters onwards. The P2 Pro isn't ideal for short range use. It probably only focuses up to 30, 40 centimeters. And yeah, you can't really get close to see what you're looking at if you're working on electronics. In terms of thermal range and sensitivity, the P2 and the P2 Pro measure from -20 Celsius to 600 degrees Celsius. So that's a much larger range than the X3 that only measures from 0 to 100 degrees Celsius. And yeah, the P2 and the P2 Pro, you can use them for about 40 or so meters and actually distinguish what you're looking at. Anything further just looks like a moving blob, so it's still good for detection. And they're both rated at 40 millikelvin as well. So yeah, basically this one here, it has a lower range of temperatures that it can measure because it's designed for outdoors use, more for scouting, monitoring wildlife, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a long distance performer. It's also got a 25 millikelvin sensor compared to the 40 millikelvin sensor here. So it's going to be more sensitive, but you're not going to be able to measure higher temperature ranges, like a wider temperature range. And the last difference is the frame rate. So 25 hertz for these two, and 60 hertz with the X3. So it's much smoother, but 25 hertz is still pretty good if you ask me. So overall, if you're inspecting high temperature objects and areas, the P2 series is better. But for outdoors use, things like spotting, detecting subtle temperature differences over longer distances, the X3 is clearly more capable. And yeah, the X3 also does a great job indoors for close range tasks up to 30 centimeters, but not for high temperature objects, because it's going to damage the sensor. I think that's really important to mention. You don't want to point these things at the sun or anything that's really hot. So in terms of applications, all of these cameras use the Thermal Master application, works for all, but there is also a Temp Master app that works just for the P2 series, has some additional color palettes and settings only available to them. So I actually install both because I find the Thermal Master app has less lag for some reason, especially when you use the X3 feature to upscale, and upscaling is available on the P2 series, not available on the X3. Honestly, you don't need it because it's such high resolution anyway. The Thermal Master app is more tailored towards the outdoors range, so Thermal Master's outdoors and hunting range. So you've got features like thermal and visual overlay, which you actually still have access to with the Temp Master app for the P2, but you've got things like the crosshair mode, so you can activate crosshairs. So that might be important if you're mounting this for hunting. Strangely, you can also activate the crosshairs for the P2 series if you use the Thermal Master app. So it might be useful for some of you. I don't know if it would be useful at all, but yeah, in short, all three use the same application, but the X3 does have some additional features that are adapted to outdoors and hunting use. Let's talk about battery and power. So all of these cameras are powered via your phone USB-C jack. There's no internal battery, and the P2 series only consumes 0.3 watts. It's super efficient. X3 consumes, significantly more power. And the handle, though, however, can utilize a 21700 battery. I've got one inside. So basically, it uses this to charge your phone while using the camera. So it greatly extends the runtimes. Let's talk a bit about price. So the P2 is the most affordable, the best value out of all three if you don't need the macro lens. So yeah, you're going to be paying a bit more for the P2 Pro due to that lens. It's also smaller. The X3 is the most premium priced option. So yeah, the question is whether you want or need the macro lens of the P2 Pro, or whether you need that long range, high resolution capability of the X3. So yeah, in conclusion, get the P2 if you want a budget friendly thermal camera for casual use, basic inspections. Go with the P2 Pro if you need macro flexibility for up close work, and choose the X3 if you want the best image quality, range, and versatility, especially for serious outdoors use. I've added the links below to all three cameras, as well as exclusive discount vouchers if you want to get one of these thermal cameras. Let me know which one you'd pick down below in the comments, or if there's, other thermal cameras that I should test next. And if you enjoyed this video, click the like button, helps me to get the video out to more people. And, drop a comment below if you have any questions as well. I'll get back to you. And if you want to see more gear review, make sure you subscribe. So on the left here, I've got the P2, and on the right, the P2 Pro. And really, there's not much of a difference. I mean, I can't see much of a difference at all, really. Maybe just look at the distant buildings, but they're pretty much the same. Sort of see like the wheels of the cars as well, which are a little bit hotter than people walking across. I don't know, maybe it's just the phone, but I do find that the image quality looks a bit better on my Galaxy S23 Ultra compared to, I've got a Samsung A3 or A8, I can't remember which one it is, but yeah. I'm just screen recording because I know last time I didn't screen record and the frame rate was way too low. It should be like way faster, so pretty much how it looks like here. And let's go for a little walk in the park. Now, last time I was here, oh, look, we've got a possum. Didn't even have to really go looking. Now, this will be interesting just to see if there's any difference
Really, in the focus actually looks probably a bit better on the P2 Pro. A little bit. I can see more detail in the trees. Alright, so for a bit of a walk, and it's kind of good that it's rained a bit actually, because hopefully it just means that everything it's cooled everything down a bit so we can see more contrasts. It's not funny, I can use two of these, to one looking to the right and one looking to the left, so I've got a larger field of view. I hear birds, I don't see any. And it's kind of cool that you can use this to navigate around as well. It's pretty dark here. Here's something. Could be a mouse, or looks small. What's that? Okay. There's little dots in the background of people walking down the road. You just make them out. Yeah, for some reason I was looking at a bunch of these, the reviews of both of these, and the footage that came out, and I sort of decided back then that the P2 looked better, but really there's more sort of similarities than not. If anything, the P2 Pro might preserve a touch of extra detail. But it's just barely perceptible, really. And yeah, it just seems like, I mean, tell me if I'm nuts, but it just seems like it's picking up maybe on a little bit more. I mean, it's creating more contrast. The grass here seems to be a bit darker on the P2 Pro. And in the background, so maybe it just has it's able to just differentiate temperatures a little better. It could be due to the focus as well. That's the mouse that I was looking for earlier up in the tree. And go for a bit of a walk. Just look up at the trees and see there's a bit of a difference, but not quite. And I mean, at this distance you can clearly make out people and animals, even though I'm really just walking around in the dark. from a distance, like all the trees kind of just blend in. Look like there's one color. You can spot people, someone behind the tree, like all the way in the center there. Oh look, got some birds. That's a little spotting device, short to medium range, and it's able to detect way further than that even. You can see people walking around all the way in the... There's a car back there. There's two people here. So you can make out and sort of scout ahead, detect general shapes, blobs of heat. I see what I mean. It's some just seems to have a little bit more contrast than the P2 Pro. I wonder if I can just modify the contrast on my... I'm just trying to modify the contrast knob on the P2 to try to match it, but it's not really doing anything. Maybe if I reduce the brightness, yeah, okay. It just might be the brightness setting that's doing something, but I've kept them both on 50% really, so lower the brightness a little bit. I just want to see, definitely the detail is a bit better, at least like in a closer up area. Here in the ground, seems like I can detect a little bit more. Let me just lower this brightness down on the P2 Pro. See what I mean? There's more there. Seems to just be picking up a bit more variation in values. So yeah, it's interesting because they're meant to both have the same camera, the same specifications. So see? But again, the difference is so minuscule. It's so minuscule. I'm just being nitpicky. I'm going to raise the contrast and the brightness to 50% level on both now, and we'll go have a look what's around here. Now, I found out last time that this is where all the mice go at night. This hedge, there's just hundreds of them in there. They just hide in there. So yep. Only a little bit of the body peeks out, it shows up. There's a couple here. Look, there's three of them. 4. See? Sort of capture little glimpses of it. Great. A bit of poop. Okay, let's have a look at this park bench. This probably be better indication of the level of detail. Very similar. More birds. I heard some up the top. Yeah. And if you have a good phone, the recordings turn out better. You don't have to screen record. Just hit the normal record button and it comes out a lot smoother. But if you don't have a newer phone, it will still, you know, you view it as you're watching it now in 25 hertz, but when you play back the recording, it's often quite jerky. So I'd recommend, just to be safe, to just screen record. I even screen record on my newer phone as well. I think the difference in contrast must be due to the focal point of the camera, and at least that's what I think it could be, because maybe it's just averaging out the temperatures more in the P2 because it's out of focus in some areas. Okay, look, this is like, again, some droppings, and probably the culprit over there. Oh, what's this? A guy sitting there on the bench. Okay, dark. Would not have noticed him. It's like completely dark here. Oh. It's a possum. I think he's playing the guitar over there. Let's go over to this road. Look, I'm convinced if you can dish out the extra cash, I'd get the P2 Pro. Just seems to have maybe a little edge, but of course you get that macro lens which then transforms it into something you can use up close as well. And yeah, but at the end of the day, if you know, if value is the most important thing for you, really, I mean, it's just marginal difference between both of them when you're comparing them side by side like this. And you know, can play around with the contrast and the brightness a little bit like this to really just bring out contrast better. Anyway, yeah, it's just interesting how there is a slight difference. Maybe if I pop them both into like the 100 to 600 degrees Celsius range, just want to see what they both kind of look like side by side. Yeah. Not all too different, but it's a bit more grainy, I guess, on the P2 Pro for some reason. Yeah, a little bit grainy for some reason. Pop it back to the negative 20 Celsius to 150 degrees Celsius. Yeah, I mean, they're both meant to be rated at 40 millikelvin, equal to or less than 40 millikelvin. That guy's still there on the bench. I wonder if I can get all the way to the other side of this park and then see if I can still spot him, because I can't even see him back there. Anyway, let's have a look. Yep, still there. People walking by the road all the way in the distance. I don't know how far that is, maybe 70 meters. Alright. So I mean, at this distance I can still sort of spot him there, right in the middle. It's hotter, but it's more difficult. And you could see a possum or something up in the tree there, right in the centre. You see, it's disappeared. And that's when those millikelvin values really make a difference. I mean, what can I do? Maybe just lower the brightness a bit, but still it just does it to everything. Nothing much really. I wonder if I can mess around with the contrast a bit. Higher contrast. I mean, keep in mind that I'm in a pretty urban area too. Yeah, if you're living in a location that's hotter, you're going to have trouble. Oh, there's all these birds there, but I can't see them. Only when they're against the sky you might be able to. What is that? Oh, here we go. Because I guess against the sky they're going to look hotter in comparison. But from a distance it's like everything sort of blends together and it's very difficult to spot contrasts. And from the footage of both of these phones, it really does appear that the P2 Pro has a slight edge. Can you see the focus is a little crisper? Oh, I thought I spotted something there on the bottom of the... Be a moth or something? God, these are so much fun. You can still spot people walking around there. A couple of people just standing over in the distance too. The truth be told, you can sort of spot them normally anyhow. So I've got both of these calibrated slightly differently, so that there is a variation in readings here, but they're close enough at the moment, and you can see how that little red dot just follows around objects. It doesn't track, it doesn't track the actual object itself, but more so tracks the hottest object on the screen. So, I mean, technically, if you might be, looking in an area that's relatively cool, and you see someone walking past or an animal, it's just going to track that animal or that person. But in a situation like this, you're on the road, it's just, pretty much tracking everything there. And the blue dot going around is tracking the coolest area, and the little crosshair in the middle, wherever you place that, is it measures the temperature. So yep. And you need to set the all the parameters depending on what you're measuring, the type of object, what it's made of, whether it's anodized aluminium, copper. Sometimes, from what I've read as well, you need to put some black tape and just measure from the black tape on the black tape, because it's going to just be easier. I've lost the word for it, but I think it's emissary. The emissary value or something like that. Ooh. Otherwise, you're not going to get an accurate reading. And I've actually used ChatGPT to help me out with this one. Figuring out different materials and what values to enter in, because I think micro arc oxidation came up as about a 0.8, 0.85, and you have bare metals that come up a lot less than that, which was quite interesting, because I didn't have any idea that the color of the anodizing, or even the type of coating on a flashlight or a device that is used, well, I guess a heatsink in general, affects how fast the heat actually dissipates from that bit of electronics. So see into his eyes. Whoa! I knew someone who got bitten by one of these things, these possums, and had to get some tetanus shots. Alright, well, that's about it for this test. So I've got my Convoy S2 here, and under the head is an Nichia 519A, and I can actually get really close to it with the P2 Pro. Just gotta balance this a little bit, but I was hoping to see a little bit of heat, a little bit more heat in the center. I've only got it on moonlight mode at the moment, but yeah, I had to actually take the lens off the front, because otherwise it's not going to be able to see through the lens. It won't last. So I'll show you what the
P2 looks like. I mean, barely can tell what's going on at all. It's just not meant to focus on stuff that close up. Okay, so the LEDs start to warm up, but I'm gonna ramp this up a bit. Let's see if I can like really get this going a bit hotter. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's really hard to hold it, just to make sure. Also zoom in. It's like a bit of this pinch zoom as well. It's hard to hold this on doing it at the same time, but here we go. You've got to find just that right sweet spot. If you've got a stand or something that can hold your phone, this will be a lot easier, like an adjustable stand. Pop on the X3 mode, and the X3 mode just cleans it up a little bit more. But, you know, as you can see, there's some weird artifacts sometimes. Kind of gives it this mosaic-like look. I much prefer it without it. Let's pop this on like real high. Try not to blind myself. Ooh, that's probably too much. Let's pop it on that. And there's actually a setting in here that allows you to change the readings. And I'll put it on the 100 degrees Celsius to 600 degrees Celsius. Okay, so I've got the ThermalMaster P2 to the left, and on the right the ThermalMaster P2 Pro. Okay, and just going up a little closer to some of this stuff here on the table. And yeah, interestingly, I've got both the cameras around the same level and distance away. I mean, it looks, yeah, look, I mean, they're pretty much the same field of view. I can't say one is better than the other in terms of what I see. It's pretty similar across the board. It might be the case that the Pro just looks a little clearer up close. Like, you can see the focal, it's just focusing a lot better up close on some of these bits on the table, even without the macro lens attached. Let's have a look over here. And there's my fridge. Pretty similar, really. At some points I think one starts to look sharper, but I think just mine just playing tricks on me trying to find some differences when there's not really huge difference. I'll have to see how it actually looks like outdoors though. And this is my switchboard again, and you can see the P2 is really not able to focus down on this area, but you get a bit more clarity. So I mean, if you're doing home inspections or what have you, I think the P2 Pro might be a bit better, because you're just going to get slightly more clarity. But honestly, differences are so marginal. So cool that you can do that. You turn on the hot water. The P2 to the left and the P2 Pro with the macro lens attached, and you know the P2 is doing quite okay from a bit of a distance like here, but as you get closer, you know, it's very difficult to see what's going on. You can see some components, you know, heating up in there, but really it's not really as clear as you can get with the P2 Pro. I mean, check that out. That's as clear as that's really as clear as you can get it, really. I had it on the X3 by accident there. Turn it off. I think it looks better without the X3 sometimes, more kind of natural. So here's hopefully I can try to do a little side by side. It's difficult, but really night and day. I mean, if you're, you know, you can still use the P2 for about, say, 30 centimeters to detect, you know, maybe some larger components, but apart from that, it's going to be really difficult. Like if you want to nail in to some of these smaller components, just flip this over. You can see in the sides as well, you know, a little bit of detail with the P2, a little bit, maybe from back here. But with the P2 Pro, check that out. That's pretty cool. We're really close up to an LED here, and I'm just putting a bit of current through it, and you can see this is the it's actually the SFT40, so you can see the 4 bond wires in there.
Okay, so I have got the Thermal Master X3 on the left, and on the right I've got the Thermal Master P2, and I'll try to angle these like around the same height, and I'm just looking at the same sort of things here, and you can see the P2's got a much wider field of view, and it really comes in handy like if you're just walking around and you kind of just want to spot something. But the X3, you can even see, that's incredible. You can see the detail like on the clothing and the trees, everything like that. And you can see like the possum there, a couple of possums there on the tree, where I can only just make them out on the P2. If I change the color palette, it's probably gonna be like easier to see. So if I change it to like black hot there, yeah, that's like a lot easier to see. But kind of just want to do like a one-for-one kind of comparison. And another thing you could do is that you can also like change around the contrast. The contrast settings as well. Let me see if I can pop that in. Like, oops, I'll lower the brightness maybe, like that, and that will kind of get it a little bit closer to what the X3 looks like. So those are the like 3 people. Let's have a look, like, in the distance. Look at the cars there in the distance there. You can't really make them out so well, but it's there. You can see them. Oh, the guy here on the bench. And the birds, which aren't really visible as well. Maybe if I increase the brightness. Nope. Not good at all. Contrast is already bumped up pretty high. That's something you can't do with the X3. Can't change the contrast or any of those sort of features. Just stuck with what you got, but I won't say stuck because, as you can see, it's very, the visibility is pretty incredible, night and day. Okay, let's go walk. But it is like difficult to walk around with the X3 because yeah, like I said, the field of view is really narrow. But in terms of clarity and just distance spotting, it's like night and day. But obviously you're paying 3 times more for it, so it's not like a pretty fair comparison really. But try to get close to like a possum or something. But I'm holding both these phones quite awkwardly, so I won't be able to focus it down so well, even if I do find one. I've got it kind of focused for distant stuff. Oh look, it's a mouse, a rat or something. Yeah, this tree. Get a bit closer. It's picking up the important stuff, that's for sure. But the higher sensitivity of the X3 can really distinguish the details much better, whereas you've got to get closer with the P2 to see what's going on.